beautiful souls. Welcome to the Spatial Sarah podcast. I am on a mission to bring back the lost art of meaningful conversations that touches our heart and expand our perspectives. My intention is to create a space where you feel seen, heard, and loved. Each episode is crafted to hold that space, allowing you to open up and explore thoughts and ideas in a safe environment. So, grab your imaginary marshmallows, find a cozy spot under the sky full of stars, and join me in these campfire-worthy conversations as I take you on a journey to places you've never been and spark conversations you've never had before. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Spatial Sarah podcast. And today I have with me Paige, and I'm so excited she's here joining me today to have this campfire-worthy conversation. And in a nutshell, she's a therapist, and I'm excited to know what she does because she uses a different kind of modalities like Reiki. She's a sound healer. She's a light practitioner. She also practices. She does light work as well. I am really curious because I've not spoken to anyone who has done this, like especially with light work. So I'm really excited and welcome to today's episode, Paige. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is quite an honor, and it's my first podcast. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're here today with me. Yeah, cool.
I'm glad that I'm here with you today too, talking about all the things.
Cool. So I always like to start my podcast. My intention is to start my podcast by asking this question, but most of the time I forget. So now that I remember, I'm going to ask you, what brings you joy, Paige?
I just feel intuitively pulled to join. I'm a very I'm a very feely person through my life, and what I mean by that is, I am very empathic. I've learned to be very clairaudient with my energy work as well, which is where you can hear things from different. I know people have different ways of describing energy, but I'm just going to describe it the way I describe it. But you put whatever whatever feels right to you. I usually say source so that you can put like God or universe or whatever you believe in. But for me, it's going to be universe. So me being clairaudient, I can hear things sometimes when I do Reiki or even when I'm not doing Reiki, but I'll just hear things in my head. It could be from different dimensions. I don't always know where it's coming from, but I know I can hear things metaphysically. I can see things in my third eye metaphysically, which that one is, I think, clairsentience, maybe. I'm drawing a blank on that, but I can see things in my third eye. I have seen spirits. I have channeled people's spirit guides, or like recently, one of my recent Reiki sessions, I've channeled someone's grandparents. That was really cool. And then I'm also able to, I'm very, very feely, like I'm very empathic. So I can feel things like, sometimes in Reiki sessions, I can feel like a chill or my head hurts, but it could be the client for whatever reason. I can get these metaphysical sensations as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, I know. As I'm healing myself, I'm clearing up more of my metaphysical, I call it window. And I'm learning more and more how to dive deeper into like my metaphysical gifts. So It's been a really cool journey.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. But I'm not sure if my question was misunderstood. But what brings you joy? What brings Paige joy? What are the things that you do that brings you joy?
Oh goodness. Well, pardon my ADHD because I know that I can be a little foggy sometimes.
No, it's okay.
But let's see here. To answer that more specifically, oh God, that's a really loaded question for me. I'm just going to say, helping people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So that means you did answer the question. Okay. Okay.
Cool. It took a long way to get there.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Great. Thanks. So now I'm even more intrigued when you talked about what you just said, the energy and the spirit and things like that. So I'm going to ask you that a little bit later on. So share with us what is Reiki? Yeah. What's like for those who do not know what Reiki is, like for me, I've heard of that word before, and I know it's like some sort of energy healing, but I'm
Mhm.
not really sure how it works or what it does. So maybe you can share with us. What is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those that don't know what Reiki is, it is known as universal life force energy. And so essentially, we all have these energy centers in the palms of our hands.
Right.
And I just dial in my Reiki sessions. Um, I like to do a saging before and after to help cleanse the energy before, clear slate before, and then I'll dive into what's known as the chakras. And you're familiar with the chakras, correct?
Yes, a little bit. Like I know the seven chakras and all, but it's a little bit. I try to open up those chakras. I've got a book that guides me, but I'm super basic, and yeah, it's a struggle.
Well, there's a lot to it, so it can be overwhelming, and even a lot of times it can be for me. But as I've been practicing, I've been really getting comfortable with it. So, it's definitely a practice, and it's a lifelong practice. So it's just one of those things where you get new shoes, you get a new thing you learn, you just work them in until they're worn right into your feeties really nicely, or into your brain, and it's a practice. So you got to wear into it. But essentially, I dive into people's energy centers. I see what is open and what's closed, because your
And
energy
how do you do that?
centers,
How do you do that?
it's just it's very intuitive. I just focus my attention into their chakra. Sometimes I use a pendulum too. Do you know what a pendulum is?
I tried that on myself because yeah, in the chakra book there was like a diagram that you could do it on your own. It's not that effective. It's better if someone
Mhm.
else can do. But I tried and I kind of wrote down, and I think it says my throat chakra is closed. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like ask the pendulum yes or no, and to see like
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
my throat chakra is closed. Then I feel there's some sort of resonance there because I think for the longest time I've been holding myself back. I've not like voicing out and not showing up as who I am because of the fear of being judged, and all that. So
Hmm.
I'm getting there, getting there.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's what I typically will get if a throat chakra specifically is closed. So that's exactly how I do it. I can do it with or without the pendulum though.
Right.
Again, that's where my intuition really if I'm doing it without the pendulum, that's when I'll focus my hands over that specific chakra each individually. I'll give each individual attention.
So it's
And
in person. You
yeah,
do
oh, it
this in
can be in
person.
person or distant actually. I've
Okay.
done distant sessions as well.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, it's much more I feel like it's much more effective in person, but to each their own, because I'm not always available uh in like different states or something. If someone wants it in like Tennessee right now, well, I'm not there. So they
Right.
could always get a distant session. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So continue. So what happens after that?
So yeah, I figure out what is open, what's closed for those energy centers that are closed. I spend a little time into those energy centers, and I really like I really focus my energy in there to give love. I always give love and light healing, because love and light are going to be the highest frequencies for healing. And yeah, I just keep on working. Sometimes things will pop up. So let's just say the throat chakra, since we already talked about that, let's just say that's closed, which is actually a very frequent chakra that I find closed, especially in this day and age with the internet and everything too. A lot of people get really nervous to
Yeah.
speak up for themselves. I am actually one of those people, but that's another reason to do things like be on this podcast, so I can open that up and uplift myself in that chakra energy center area. But when I go over people's chakras, again, all of those metaphysical abilities that I have. I mean, I can hear things, and I can want to talk about that. I can see things in my third eye and want to talk about that with the client, so that I can try to just, I call it emotional or energetic knots. We can just try to kind of unravel all that so that we can open that. Because if the client feels better, um, uh, it can open that chakra up. So I'm going to also give you the definition here for I actually took a little bit of Eastern medicine in my massage program, and they described emotions. The definition of that in Eastern terms is energy in motion. So your
Mm.
body's your emotions is your body speaking to you. Like it's
Yeah.
having a conversation with you. Like you're not victim to those emotions. Like you create those emotions and you can choose whether to feel those ways. But if you feel something in that throat chakra, when I'm bringing up like maybe a certain image or something I hear in my head, maybe I feel something in my throat and I want to talk about that, and you feel like I always call it an anchoring, like a negative emotion, then that's something to address. Let's go deeper. So I get really deep in my Reiki sessions. I make lots of folks cry, but that's good because that's a release.
Yeah.
So I dig really, really deep to release that, because.
But how do you get those questions? Like it comes up for you, or like do you ask like general questions and then they sort of make up the answers? Like it comes to them? Is it some
That's a
sort
great
like
question.
that?
No, yeah, I'm glad you're asking that, because I'm like, I hope I'm describing this really well. So yeah, it just pops in my head. Like, I could give you an example here. Let's see here. This isn't for the throat chakra, but this is going to be for up above the brain. That's going to be the third eye. I recently had a client that their third eye was closed. And so I put my hands over, I usually rub my hands together, because that heat generates this energy in your palms. And when you can feel that heat, I go over the forehead above the third eye, and I close my eyes and I really just try to focus in on their energy and that specific energy source. And what popped up for me was, at first I told him, I'm seeing like dark clouds. And I'll ask, does that resonate for you? And they'll tell me yes or no. If something pops up, I want them to tell me, because that could help us figure it out. But essentially, just to make a long story short here, eventually I got to the point where I said, okay, okay, now I'm seeing, like, I feel like that those dark clouds, like I was only up in the clouds and now I'm transferring down into the water, and the water is just as dark as the clouds. And it's like there's like a tundra, like there's waves everywhere, swish swash back and forth. Does that resonate with you? And he said, well, yeah, I really felt like I've been back and forth a lot. Like I've been feeling like that with my job and everything. And I'm like, so it's funny how it can pop up. But to keep going forward here, I then got to the point where I said, there is a light that's trying to go through. It almost reminded me of Noah's Ark, honestly, but I saw a bright light like in between the two waves at one point, going straight through and opening in between. Like it just opened a pathway in between the water. It really kind of reminded me, it was really very similar to Noah's Ark, but it was light coming through. And then I saw like a figure deep within the light, and it happened to I remember the image. It was an older lady, and she had an apron gown on, like an older, it kind of reminded me of like Little House on the Prairie kind of dress code, but then she had like, she had the white hair with the low bun and everything, and glasses. And I'm like, this, I explained this appearance to him, and he said that really reminds me of my grandmother. And I'm like, really? And then like sometimes I get teary-eyed, because I get really happy that I'm able to bring that for them, that message. But he said, yeah, my grandma used to dress like that. She would wear a little bun like that. And I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. I'm like, I told him, I said, now I feel like I'm smelling cookies. But
Right now?
Yeah, I think that, like, with me channeling that, I can, like, it's funny. It just pops up. I don't know for what reason sometimes.
Okay.
But it does, and I don't ignore it. I'm just open to it.
Okay.
And I don't judge it. But no, in the session though, I ended up smelling cookies, so I probably just remember. But now I got to the point where I said, "Now, is your grandma living? I have a feeling like she's not living." And he's like, "No, actually, she passed away like 3 years ago." And I'm like, "Okay, I have a feeling like you have a hard time dealing with that." I could feel that at that moment, like his energy shifted when I brought her up, and it went from like, it was happy because she was here, but then it, like, when I brought up the passing, it was boom, and I just felt empathically like he kind of anchored a little bit, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, hang on now. I like it when ships sail. So what's going on here? let's bring that anchor up. Why do you have these feelings? Are you having a difficult time with this death? Or like, what is it about this passing that's got you all angry right now?
Yeah.
And then so he tells me, and it's been really difficult for him to get over the death because of the way that it happened. Like, he was always there for his grandma and his grandfather. And, he couldn't cope with the way that it ended, how their lives ended, is what he finally had admitted. And I told him, well, what happened? He's like, well, I wasn't there when they passed, but I was always there like 24/7 for my grandparents. And I was like, okay. So eventually I got him to work through that. I'm trying to not make this too lengthy, but eventually I got him to the point where, then it was funny. I started, I still saw the ocean and the light and the grandmother figure. And then all of a sudden, like real, almost as if like you're watching TV and something pops up real close, like directly right in front of the screen. It's taking up the whole screen. I saw this I don't know how you pronounce it, the Pabst beer, and I'm like, wow, okay, why is this Pabst beer like, it's directly in front of my face. Why is it so close? And why is it so like right there? And he's like, well, it reminds me of my grandpa. That was his favorite beer. So I could then confirm that both his grandma and his grandfather were in the room. And then I was getting messages. Oh, the grandmother was very active, and you could tell that she was trying to give me messages to help him cope. Like, and I could even feel from her energy that she didn't want him to feel like, don't let their life be this grief for you. Like, that's not what they want for you. So I was able to eventually throughout the session, get him to cope with that. Well, he had to choose it, but I was able to get him to lift that. I call it an anchor, but those negative emotions. And then he's been really good since, and he felt really at peace with it after leaving. So that was really, so hopefully that answers everything.
Yeah, it does.
That's kind of a taste.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was in person, right? This session you had?
This was an in-person session.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's go to third eye chakra. I'm curious about third eye chakra, because I have this thought, and this, I think probably is in the third eye. So, so when they say your third eye chakra is open, does it mean that you will be able to see spirits, or like, what does it mean to have your third eye? Because I am so afraid to have my third eye chakra open. So afraid, because I don't have that special gift, and I don't want to, because I'm like a super scaredy cat. So what is a third eye chakra?
So the third eye chakra, that chakra can help you. Yes. And I know a lot of psychics have their third eye chakra open, but it can help you. It can help you see things metaphysically. I know for me, that's what it does. And I was scared too. Don't get me wrong. I was scared when I was getting, and I was going through my Reiki classes, and I did ask my instructor a very similar question. Actually, my Reiki master, I had two, blessed enough, and they're just, I'm so gracious for them. But essentially, we all have these gifts. I just want to confirm that with you. It's just with society and all these, like, all these emotions and these societal beliefs, and like what you should and shouldn't do. And I'm sure, all of these beliefs get, they get infused with our energy, and it can, I hope I'm describing this the right way, because I feel like sometimes energy, I'm hoping that I'm reaching everyone's perception. But when we're born, we're I know I'm answering this a long way, but when we're born completely open. And we have all of our gifts.
Yeah.
But growing up, you go through experiences, whether it be trauma or what have you, and those things can kind of fog your metaphysical window. If I always think of a card, it just can fog that window, and the third eye is one of those things that can be affected.
Right.
So as you clear it, you can open yourself to, with your third eye open, you can see, like I was able to see all these, like the sky and in the ocean, and like these visions when I was tuning my chakra. That's what it will allow access. Yes, you can. It does open a doorway, so you can. There are trickster spirits. There are negative entities. I don't really feel like I have really, maybe trickster spirits I've channeled, but that was a reason I didn't want to open either. And I really actually encourage you, if you really, don't let that stop you, because it's really a beautiful gift to have. I mean, I've helped so many people now. I mean, uplift through my sessions, and just because I'm able to see certain things and be able to, relate to people with some of these visions. I mean, I think it's a really beautiful thing. We're given these gifts for a reason. So, I feel like not to share that. I mean, I encourage the people to see other Reiki practitioners too, or masters, because I mean, what one can see, I mean, you never know what the other person's going to see. And I mean, love, light, healing, mind, body, and soulful wellness, I think that should be shared. And you never know what you're going to get with each person. Like, you never know what gifts that they have access to, or things they can tell you. And, I think that's just a reason to want to open I mean, you never know what you're going to see. You never know. Yeah, there could be bad things, but one thing I will, hopefully this will reassure you to want to open that third eye is, I did say that to they realized that I was struggling at first when I was trying to open myself in my Reiki classes. And I'll just give this to you really quickly here. There are bad spirits, but there are good spirits too. You have your spirit guides, archangels, you have your guides, and they are protecting you. And especially if you don't have a relationship with them, talk to them, because they want you to. And
oh my
really
God, the irony. I met this lady last year.
Uh-huh.
I met this lady last year during Mind Valley. Have you heard of Mind Valley?
Oh, you said Mind Rally?
Mind Valley.
Oh, Mind Valley.
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually.
No. Okay, so it's a global education transformational kind of thing. So it's a personal development company where they host events and those sort of things. So every year for 3 weeks they have this rotating university called Mind Valley University, where they have teachers and speakers from different expertise, and it's all about the mind, body, and soul. So they talk about business, spirituality, health, wealth, and everything. We do have great speakers that comes from, like Marissa Pierce. I met Marissa Pierce last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I met this lady, and she keeps telling me, like, you need to open your chakra. She's like, there are bad energies, but you can always call on your archangels. And this is the only thing she told me. Just ask Archangel Michael to protect you, to use his sword and cut off all the negative stuffs. And you will only be able to see like the good stuff, like you will only channel in good stuff. So I lost my dad last year. All of a sudden I lost my dad last year. So she, when I was talking to her, she said she could feel my dad's presence beside me. So I can see your dad. Like I can see him, and I can see few other like angels, your guardian angels around you. So again, when I met her, I think about 2 months ago, she was down in town, and then I met her. And then she said again, the same thing she said again, call on your angels after you meditate, because I meditate every day. So after you meditate, just close your eyes and just calling to your dad. And, I think he wants to reach out and talk to you. So I'm like, oh, he said, no, just ask your archangels to really protect you, because they do. And she says that every time she wants to make a big decision, she says she has this panel of judges, like a board of directors. Like she has her parents has passed as well many years ago. So she has her parents, and then she has all these archangels around. And that's how she said, that's how I have fun. I communicate with them. And sometimes they're really funny, And so it's interesting that you are bringing this up, and I could sense it, because I'm not a religious person. I've always been on the spiritual path. So for me, it's about the universe and higher energy, higher source. So I kind of really like how this conversation is going.
That's awesome. It sounds like we have a lot that we're aligning to right now. And I love aligning, especially if I can help. I mean, I'm a light worker, so I'm present because I want to uplift souls, and I really want people to open to their highest self.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, it feels really good. I want that for you. I mean,
it is.
The slow and steady wins the race. You know, no pressure or anything. But if you want to uplift, I mean, I Yeah, I'm a light worker. So that's just what we do.
Let's
Because
talk
there's
about that. Yeah, let's talk about light work, because you also mentioned that during a Reiki session, you give them a lot of love and light. So how does that go? Like, do you visualize like light coming in? Like, how does this work?
So, yeah, I can visualize it. It really comes to me intuitively at that time, but yes, the options that can come forth during that when I'm giving love and light energy is I'm, my primary is I really feel it. Like I actually feel myself. I used to just take it from my source, which is my solar plexus or my heart, and I would just give what I had to people. And then I started to get emotionally drained, and I was like, whoa. But then I eventually learned that the air and there's air and energy all around me. So I take the energy from the room and I almost act as a filter. So I pretty much take that out. If you could just imagine, the energy around you is love and light. I take that and I filter it through me and my love and light, and then I push it into their closed chakra. Or even if it's not closed, I'll push it in there just to give them a little extra, because everyone likes a cherry on the top too. But yeah, I push that. Usually it's very feely for me. So I'm very empathic and intuitive about where I'm guiding that. And sometimes I'll kind of move it a little bit, because sometimes you'll get like in massage, I know how the knots feel and everything.
I had
And
that.
I know when I can feel a knot, and I can feel that energetically though. But so I always imagine it as a little stagnated knot emotionally. Like if we're talking about let's just say the throat chakra again, because we're pretty familiar with that now. Sometimes I'll feel like almost like a little rock, or kind of feeling is what I describe it as. But I like to say a knot, energetically. Like I don't physically feel it, but energetically I do. And sometimes I'll try to push it out a little bit. I'll feed it some love and light. And sometimes I kind of do this little I'll do a little energetic slit over so I can open it a little more, and then try to dig in there and grab it out. But I can only do so much. I'm just providing a space so that person can uplift themselves.
Mm.
I'm assisting by trying to push everything in the right, nooks and crannies and out where they need to go. But ultimately, a lot of people think I do the healing. I'm just I'm aiding in trying to do that. I just provide a comfortable space for them to do that themselves.
Do people struggle? Do you find people who struggle, like they don't want to open, like maybe they're not doing it consciously, but unconsciously they're sort of like resisting? Do you experience that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. People that are more open to the metaphysical or energy work, um, they tend to be, it's a little, I don't want to say it's easier, but it's a much more fluid when they're open to it. But like I know the most recent example, and it could be for many reasons. If they have any kind of doubt and they don't really believe, it can be a little difficult, because they're creating a lot of stagnation just off feeling that way. And until they can uplift that themselves, there's only so much I can do. So
I
faith,
totally
trust, and pixie
agree.
dust is a thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think in any kind of work, like even for coaching that I do, like I can give you everything. I can give you the tools and resources. Like if you're hungry, you got to eat for yourself. I can go and eat for you and your hunger goes off. Like, Jim Rohn says, you can't hire someone else to do your weights for you or lift weight, lose weight for you, right? Yeah.
Yep. No, that's perfectly said, actually. Yeah. So it's the same with what my work too.
Yeah.
Anything I do, because I'm certified in a few different things, and I mean it's like that with every single certification I have, every single practice, every single treatment. There has to be a willingness and a belief and a openness. That kind of energy needs to be present too in order to get the full benefits.
Yeah. How did you stumble upon this? Like, how did you become a healer? Did something happen in your childhood? Did you have some sort of traumas, or if you're open to share?
Oh, I'm so open, because the more open I am and the more I'm myself, the more it makes people feel they can be themselves too. Part of light work. So yeah, goodness, there's a few things, but I'll give you a short version here. Yeah, when I was little, I went through my own version of trauma. I feel like most healers will tell you that they went through trauma. I think that's just part of it. Because something had to shake me a little bit in order for me to open. And I didn't know that then, but I know it now. And I would, if I had the choice, I'd do it all over again. And if anything, I would, not that I want to have trauma or suffer or feel that really deep of like those deep emotions I felt. But when I was 5 was probably the first time I really got shook. I mean, I would say the minute I was born, I experienced trauma, because when I was born, I was actually born blue, like a Smurf. My lungs weren't fully, actually, no, that was my brother, actually. I think his lungs weren't fully, no, I think that was me. My lungs weren't fully developed. So, I was my mom's first child, and like the minute I was born, I was blue. And so my mom didn't see me the first 2 hours that I was born. And I'm pretty sure that I had to undergo some kind of surgery or something so that they could make sure that I was still gonna be alive. But yeah, for the first 2 hours, I didn't even get to see my parents or anything. So like the minute I was introduced into this world, I experienced trauma. So I mean, I think that just I think I was just meant to be a healer personally, because me having those experiences, I mean, I think that's why I'm so empathic, is because I can really feel. And, I'm a Pisces too, so I'm very watery, I'm very feely already, and I have these psychic abilities. And I've seen spirits before, even when I was little. I could see much
Really?
more vividly clear when I was little, actually.
Because you're more open and we are, it's such an innocent soul. There's, not much of resistance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So I would say the minute I was born, I had trauma. And then when I was 5, I know was the next big hit. I was very close to my papa. He showed me a lot of unconditional love, and I experienced a lot of that through him. Not that I didn't from my parents, but I was extra a papa's girl. And
Were you the
he
first grandchild? Is
what was
that
that?
Were you the first grandchild for him?
The first girl.
First girl. Okay, so makes sense. Makes sense.
I was a little extra spoiled, nothing to the boys, but yeah, I was a princess to him,
Oh.
being a girl. Yeah. So yeah, I was very, very, very extra spoiled with him. And well, he passed away when I was 5, and that was the first time I experienced very, very deep depression. And at 5 years old, you're still cognitively like producing parts of your brain where you're not really, you don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
You at 5 years old, I don't think anyone should have to deal with that, but I did. And my mom even tried taking me to a therapist and everything. And I could feel it, I knew then, like now feeling back to that experience, I was very empathic. And it was like, I felt like it boosted then, because I felt I didn't know I could feel emotions that deeply until that experience. And I was 5. So that's a pretty, I think I got a pretty good jump start on that. Feeling trauma at 5 years old. I mean, even before that, but so there was that. There's other experiences, but I'm just going to give you my primary ones. When I was 20 was another really big one. I mean, going through school and going through school and saying, oh, you're a woman, you should this and that, and look like this or this and that. And then guys go through their own spiel too, or, oh, if you show
The
this
biggest
much
one.
for the
Yeah,
straps. So all
exactly.
that, just going through public high school, and I didn't have like a bad rap or anything. I mean, I went to Wilmington High School, which is like a school in the middle of a field. I mean, so I had I just considered a very small country farm town kind of school, but I still got those experiences, and I could feel people's emotions, and I experienced depression hard. I tried killing myself twice actually in high school because, well, I didn't know I didn't know at that point I was empathic, and I wasn't just feeling my energy, but I could feel everyone's energy, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And then eventually I got myself, not understanding like what I was going through. I'm trying to figure it out. I stumbled across like, some negative entities, people that maybe I shouldn't have been around, but I learned from those like experiences. So I'm not upset about that. I did stumble into addiction. but the soul wants to experience these things. It's okay if you, if you went through some things, like, it only made me a better person, and it only made me wiser, and it only made sense, like, not when I finally got my help, my healing certifications, I'll just say. I'd say the biggest one before I finally was like, I'm done with this stuff, and like something else, like I awoken fully, was I went through an abusive relationship at 20. And I mean, I was unfortunately sexually abused, verbally abused, real deep, and even physically abused, actually, pretty frequently. So after that, I was like scared that I was gonna die. And then I just woke up, and then everything made sense. And I started listening to my intuition more at that point. And I started figuring out, like, oh, okay, like, puzzle piecing, like, I need to, I feel pulled here. I'm just going to do it now. So I didn't realize I was even listening to my intuition until I finally, like, I went to massage school, I learned Eastern medicine, then I learned Reiki, and then it started puzzle piecing together, because then I started actually making a change and educating myself on everything. And then boom, it was like, okay, now all of this makes sense. And I would do it again, honestly. So that's the short version, though. But
what triggered you to do this? Like, how did you learn about this stuff? Like, okay, there's such thing as Reiki, there's such thing as, like, how did you know about, like, did someone talked about it, or where did you stumble upon this?
Okay, that's a great question. So I actually used to get Reiki performed on me before I was even a Reiki practitioner. I had a massage therapist. I ended up buying a business. I'm the owner of the Mind and Body Shop now, but the owner before that used to do Reiki to me. Her name was Shelby, and that's how I found out about Reiki. Okay. So then I felt pulled intuitively. I feel my pull in my heart center. So if I feel that, I know that that's my intuition, and I know that that's my path. That's where I need to go. I call it the yellow brick road, my path. So I follow that. I'm really aware of it, and I've had lots of practice. So I feel where I need to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I encountered her doing that energy work, I felt something special, and like a calling almost, it felt like to me. So I listened to it, and now I actually perform these sessions.
And how long has it been since you've been practicing these sessions?
Okay, let's see. So it's 2023 now. Since 20, I think it's been since 2021. So 2 years.
Okay. How has the experience been so far?
Oh, I love it. I think it's kind of crazy how, like, fast you can go right to master. So I'm not ready for master yet. I'm just Reiki 3. There's level 1, 2, and 3, and then there's master, where you can start teaching. I feel like there's so much to experience that I don't want to just jump into, oh, I'm a master. Like, I'd rather actually experience it first. But before I go to master, but I'm having fun, like, because as I'm healing people and I'm healing myself, I can feel like, just the energy around me uplift. And I just really think it's beautiful. I'll have happy tears actually pretty frequently, because I just think it's just, I hate to sound cheesy, but it really is just a beautiful experience. And it's beautiful to feel this energy move, but in a light and love kind of way.
Yeah. I think when you're in your zone doing your stuff and all, it's not cheesy. That's all I can say. It's not cheesy because you feel really good. And work doesn't feel like work. It just feels like play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Cool.
Oh, absolutely. This doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I really feel like I'm fulfilling, like, I actually really feel like I'm feeling very soul plenished.
Yeah.
When I do this work, especially when, just with massage, but when people come out and they go, oh, thank you, like, I feel really loose and really good. I mean, I wish I could just do it. I wish I could just do it for just solely off of those, uplifting reactions that I get. However, I have bills to pay, but I mean, just that alone, I'm feeling very replenished, just knowing that doing exactly what I set out to do. I really feel like I'm actually fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I'm actually sharing it rather than, being in those, traumatic depths and choosing to be victim to that, empowering and being in knowing that I can create my life and that I can show people that it's possible makes me feel really good, because it's so funny how many folks don't really believe that. So, I'd say I'm a cheerleader for that, and I'm proud of it.
I think it was February that I went for an intuitive massage. First time ever.
Yeah.
I'm a massage freak. Like I can just go for body massage like all the time and leg massage, but those are all like it's just massage. It's not like an intuitive one. So this guy, when he was massaging me, I think he asked me about work and all. I wasn't too happy about it. And then I told him that I think it was halfway talking, and then he said he had this a flash image that came up to him, and it was like a Celtic kind of thing, like the Eastern Europe kind of thing, Celtic thing. And then I told him, to be honest, like where I came from. Like I'm from Malaysia. It's in Asia. If you've not heard of it, many people have not heard of it. So it's in between Thailand and Singapore. So we are the country in the middle of, between Thailand and Singapore. And then I told him, you know what? I've never felt connected to my roots, like never. Like I'm born Indian, but I've never felt connected. And when he said Celtic, I'm like, oh my God, now it makes sense, because I feel very, very connected. It's cheesy, but I feel very connected to the Spanish culture. So anything that has got to do with Spain, the Spanish people, the culture, I'm just so attracted to it. So I'm very drawn to it. So when he said Celtic, he said it's probably because your past life, you might have had a Celtic connection and it has brought you to. So I say, oh my God, it makes sense. I don't have any connection like to the Indian roots, but I feel so connected. So if you even listen to my playlist on my phone, or it's always Spanish songs. And recently, it was this year, I actually had the really, really strong calling to do the Camino de Santiago walk in Spain. I'm not sure if you heard of that walk before. It's a pilgrimage walk across Spain.
I know what you're talking about.
So, I have, and he told me, because of telling him a little bit about the Camino de Santiago, and then he said, that is the reason why you have a very, very strong calling to do the walk, because it's part of you. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do this. So yes, I've been planning. I was supposed to go next month, but things didn't turn out well. So I don't want to do it during winter, because I think it's really terrible. And with the shorter daylight and all, it's going to make it tough. So I might do it next year, April onwards, when it's a little bit more brighter and towards summer. So I'm really excited.
I think you should, because even like when you're speaking of that, I can feel how strongly like that is for you. Like I can feel like it's like I always call it, like it just feels like a pull, like a magnetic pull. Like if you feel something or it makes you smile like that, or you feel so strongly about that, that's like infused with you for a reason. And I totally agree with them. It's funny how massage, massage kind of, I massage for, I think not a year and a half before I got into Reiki, but, before I was even a Reiki practitioner, my energy, you can't, regardless if you mean to do Reiki or not, it doesn't shut off. And we all have this gift, whether, you believe that you do or not. Like we all have the energy centers. We have the energy in the palms of our hands. In massage, it's, I always watch who massages me because I'm like, because their energy can leach into yours. And with me being, I've always been, even when I was in high school, I've always been known as like a real happy, bubbly kind of person. And I would have people like leaving their session sometimes before I was Reiki certified saying like they feel like emotionally like enlightened. So it's not something you can stop. And it's funny how like a lot of people get connected through energy work as therapists through just massaging people. Like I mean, you can't stop, but you can feel that everybody, it's just there. So it can be a doorway into wanting to do more with energy work, or whatever. I mean, whatever the person feels called to.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting that you said that story. Yeah, it is like a gateway into it. People all the time.
Yeah. It was a really interesting massage. He was unknotting. No, is it unknotting my all the knots that I had? He was like trying to untie my knot. He said, "Oh my God, you have so much of knots, especially on my back." He's like, "Do you carry a lot of burdens?" I'm like, "No, I'm the youngest child. I'm the spoiled brat." He's like, "No, but there's some sort of unfulfillment that's going on with you." I said, "Because after 20 over years of being away from home, I came back last year. So I've been home since then." So I said, it's gonna be a year. I still don't feel like I've adjusted. I don't feel like I belong here. I feel like I belong elsewhere. He said, yes, like as I can untie your knots, I can feel like you thrive when you're away from home. I said, you can put me in any part of Europe and I can just survive. Like I can just be on my own. But I can never go to somewhere that is very culturally, like, Asian or whatever. I feel very out of place. Yeah.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. I mean, I believe when you come here, you already have your life plan out, and you already signed a contract, and so that totally makes sense that you're attracted to that. I don't question it anymore if I'm feeling that pull. But it's also funny too. I will mention that sometimes, I mean, with a lot of knots in the shoulders, usually, I mean, depending on where you have knots energetically, if you can look at like a map for that energetically, that usually can tell you where you're holding certain emotional stagnation too. That's a thing.
Right.
So sometimes if people want to learn or they want me to talk about it, I will, but I've jotted down, I have very specific soap notes that I write afterwards, and I'll write down that stuff. And if they ever want a Reiki session, I already got notes on where I found knots, and I'll know exactly, kind of what questions to ask. I feel for them still, but I'll still if I really feel intuitively called to, ask this person like about a certain area, I will too. I don't try to base it off of notes by all means. It's very intuitive, but I kind of get an idea as to just energetically where they may possibly be before I even touch them, because I listen to there's like an energetic map too, for all that as well.
Interesting. It was only quite recently, I think maybe a couple of months, or probably maybe just the last 1 year, I've been trying to be a little bit more in tune with my feelings and emotions. So it's kind of the experience and the practice is sort of like going deeper and deeper. First, I started with being more in tune with my emotions, because I'm a very head person. I'm all about the mindset and all that, but then I'm working with a coach to kind of release my trauma and all that. So she kind of told me, she said, no, it's not about the mindset anymore. It's, you have certain traumas that you got to just deal with it. I said, but I'm a happy child. Like, I'm the happiest person I've known. Like, I wake up with a smile on my face. And she was like, no, there's a little part of you, like the small Sarah. You haven't healed that child. You are not hurt. As an adult, you are not hurt. But as a child, and I think it's so true, because I do have like things that I think it connects the dot when I look back, like how I was bullied in school, how I was also sexually abused as a child. I went through physical abuse, domestic abuse in my relationship as well. So yes, I've done the forgiveness part, but I think the child still needs me. So interesting, yesterday when I was meditating, when I was doing my forgiveness exercise, usually I'll put the people who have done me wrong or I need to forgive, I put them in front of me and forgive them. But yesterday, somehow, I was having this intuition to kind of forgive myself again. So in my journal, I have this cute little picture of myself. So
Mhm.
every time I would go back to her and say, I'm sorry for being a jerk. I know you're such a wonderful kid. I didn't mean to hurt you and all that. So yesterday I was doing that. I'm so sorry for hurting you, Sarah. I didn't know any better. I wish I could protect you, but I didn't. I'm so sorry. And then I did the Ho'oponopono, like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I started crying. Like during meditation, my eyes opened and I started tearing. And yeah, but I felt good after that because I think I wanted that inner child need to know that we're all doing our best that we can, right? And I
Mhm.
couldn't protect her at the age of 7 when I was first sexually abused. Even my family doesn't know. And the reason why I'm saying it because I know my family is not going to listen to the podcast. So yeah. So yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting that we're talking about intuition and energy. So for me, it's just a learning process. Yeah.
No, oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a practice until, we pass on. I mean,
Yeah.
you're never done growing. You're never
Yeah.
practicing all of these,
Yeah.
like the energy, the mind, the body. I mean, all that's connected to you. So you practice it until, the very last day.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'm glad you brought up the childhood, like the inner child work, because, oh my gosh, that is very constant for me. I mean, it gets brought up a lot. I have a lot of people that they don't even realize that that's like that energy, that stagnation from their childhood somewhere. I mean, it could be from really young. I mean, so many different ages will pop up. I know, like in some of my Reiki sessions, I will try to guide them through trying to channel their different ages of their life where have they have this stagnation, that negative anchoring feeling that's how I describe it. And it is very frequent, but I do have them go head on and try to, tackle it if they feel comfortable to do that. I never push because
Mm.
I don't think that that's really a way to heal. I don't really approve of if people do push. People have to do it at their own pace. Slow and steady wins the race. So, as lovingly as possible, I ask if they want to address certain things with their childhood. Um, it almost kind of probably feels like a guided meditation, but it's through childhood. So I'll just give you a very quick one. But there was one lady where I asked her, I said, I was over, she just has so much, like there was just so much ding 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 going on in the head, and I just felt like it was back and forth, up and down,
Do
and it
you
was just
feel it in your own body? Like, do you feel that heaviness in your body? Like, I'm curious. Do you feel that? That's how you know?
I
Yeah.
can. And not that I necessarily, if it's in their head that I feel it in my head, I can feel it anywhere. Typically it's, I feel it intuitively in my chest is where I am strongly, confident
But how
in
would you know
feeling
then
from.
it's for them, it's at the head? Like, how would you know if you feel it in your chest? How would you know like it's the head for them? Is it like when you put your hand?
So yeah, yes. So when I put my hands over them, I can kind of feel the energy just going bonkers, like ding, 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 like it's almost like playing ping pong. Sometimes I can feel it in my head too and be like, oh, but yeah, for the most part, my pendulum, my personal physical pendulum is over my heart chakra. That's how I know I'm right. Like that's how I know it's them and it's not me. Because sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, okay, is it me or is it them? So that's how I like. First, I'll feel it in my hands, or maybe feel it in my head. If we're talking about the being over the head specifically, and then I'll kind of ask my guides to guide me through the session too, and I'll be like, is this right? Is it them or me? And then I'll get the confirmation over my heart chakra, and I'm like, okay, let's address it. So then I ask them to go in,
How do you get the
if they're willing to.
confirmation? How do you get that
Sorry.
confirmation? Do your body sway, or like how do you get the confirmation? Was it like or will it be like a yes kind of image on your head? How do you get that confirmation?
I feel like how would I describe the feeling over my heart? I just feel like I almost just feel, I always see like a light, like a green light over my heart, but I feel like an uplift here, like yes. And then if it's no, it's gonna feel like anchor, like down.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how I distinguish it. I'm used to feeling my energy at this point now. At first I questioned it a lot, but then,
Mm.
after so many trial and errors of, oh, okay, that wasn't right, and this is right. I figured out that that's how I feel my confirmation.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Have you done any plant medicine before, like psychedelics or ayahuasca? Like, have you done any?
So this goes back to my addiction. I did get addicted to marijuana because there is a lot more traumas that I won't go into today, just because there's quite a lot that I went through just in my, just living at my parents' house. My parents are very great people, but they have limited beliefs and things that they didn't work through. And that's okay, because everybody has those things. But, the way that they chose to handle certain situations sometimes, and maybe handle me sometimes, what's a good way to describe this? Because I don't want to put my parents on the spot or anything, but everybody makes mistakes, but it helped me learn.
Yeah.
Okay,
if it helps,
the question.
No, I think no, it's okay. No, but I think if it helps to just hold the space for you. I mean, I have great parents as well, wonderful great parents, but they all come with their own limiting sets of beliefs, right? So I believe that everybody is doing the best they can with whatever they know at that point of time, right? So I do understand, your parents are great, but I'm not judging, and I will not judge, because everybody's doing their best. And the question was, I think we were talking about the addiction. I asked if you've done any plant medicine. Yeah. So did you experience anything? Yeah. Did you experience anything during any awakening? I'm just curious.
I'll be honest. I've listened to other people that are channeled metaphysically. I've talked to them about marijuana as well. And yeah, it's great, but everything in moderation. And I was not doing that in moderation at my parents' house, because I couldn't understand why there were certain treatments, certain ways I was being treated, and it could be from any person. But I was with my parents primarily because I lived with them, and I never really go out. But I would choose to, instead of coping with certain emotions when I lived with my parents' house, I would choose to just pretty much smoke myself numb, because I can feel so intensely. I would get so overwhelmed that I would just want to depress, and then I'd be depressed, because I didn't know how to deal with it then. I figured out how to now, but and it could be any person, not just my parents, but I mean anybody that has unhealthy, negative, maybe even narcissistic qualities. I have had some of my exes, quite a bit of those have narcissistic qualities, because I was treated so, I was gaslit and projected on, and, very constantly, those two specific behaviors. So, I really thought I was crazy for some time. That was part of the trauma I went through. And then when I realized it wasn't me, I have a really awesome spiritual life coach as well. She helped me guide through a lot of that. And then once I realized that, I didn't smoke anymore. So, and, I could, I've chosen before to use marijuana to before I meditate and stuff, to see if I could get a little deeper, because I know some people that have, and I've had some pretty cool meditations with it. I'm not saying I get nervous to tell people to use it, because I'm scared they're going to get addicted, but at the same time, my soul signed up for these experiences for a reason. And some souls really want to experience addiction.
Yeah.
They want to learn from that. So I don't regret it at all. Yeah, I did it.
But it's good that you snapped out of it. It's good that you snapped out of it. And now you're using that as your launching pad to share your message. I recently heard someone say this, and I think it clicks so well. Our mess is our message, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
I love that.
Whatever mess we have gone through, I think that's what we come out to be, beautifully, the beautiful souls that we are. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I want to add to that too. I always say, at first I used to consider myself a lotus flower, because I felt I was growing out of these swampy conditions, but I think I transplanted into a sunflower. Have you ever seen sunflowers grow out of cement?
I'm wearing sunflower.
Oh, they're my favorite.
My favorite too. I'm like the sunflower girl. I love sunflowers.
Oh, then we align there, because I tell you what, that I think that is the most powerful plant. Like I can feel all the energy. If you can feel, I can feel energy from the plants too. I've
Yeah.
done Reiki to animals. Um, Actually, I have horses, and I've done Reiki with them, and I think that's another reason why I chose to do energy work. I'm not just aspiring to help people, but any living beings, especially animals. But I can't do reptiles though. I can't get with snakes. I can't. Yeah, that one I can't get with. I mean, if they're in a cage or something, I'll do it from a distance, because I don't want to leave anyone out of the love and light energy, because they're just a living being too. Like,
But what do you do then? Like in for this kind, like for animals, like what do you do for them? Do they have to be
oh,
sick, or like how does this work? I've not heard. I've heard of like whisperers, like animal whisperers and all, but not like animal healing. So how does this work?
well, my example is going to be horses, because I am very, very connected strongly with horses. I had horses when my parents got me a pony when I was 8. I got a pony, and I got two other girls. That'd be Missy, Ella, and Rose. And I just knew I could feel, like, before I even knew I was empathic, I knew I could have these conversations with them. And I'm like, man, they really can understand me. Like, they really
Yeah.
can. And I didn't know that we were having energy transferences. Like, that was like, I was actually building like a different relationship that nobody in my family had with them. Because of course the horses were at my parents' house. So I mean, my mom would go out there and feed them sometimes. My dad would go out there. My brother would help us out sometimes. I mean, we'd have the occasional, like, friends and stuff over there. But I mean, I definitely was much more strongly connected to all the horses than anybody else, because I didn't even know I was having these energy exchanges, like, with them. Just me having, the energy that I had, like, even all the stuff I was going through, I was still uplifted. And I would really have conversations with these horses, but I would feel, and they could feel me back. Like, I swear that I could feel, like, people give their animals voices sometimes, but I could, like, feel a conversation with them. I know that, I hopefully that makes sense, because I'm like, how else do I describe this?
No, it's difficult to understand because we've not gone through. But I think it does happen because, yeah, because you are highly intuitive, and you're able to. So I'm pretty sure you will be able, because I believe in energy so much. I believe in it, although I may not be that intuitive or anything, but I do believe that people with that power, they're able to absorb that. And because I absorb people's energy, so now I'm very clear with who I spend my time with. So for me, it's starting at the human level first, spending the time with the people. I make sure that the people who come into my energy field, they gotta be positive. They gotta be people that align with my energy. Otherwise, I get so drained, like what you say, like so drained.
Yeah, I know. I noticed I can hermit myself,
Yeah.
not as much anymore, because I
Yeah.
am. I mean, I learned that you really just you gotta shield yourself, and even
Yes.
I have
Yes.
your angels, like
Yeah.
we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better with it, but I still, like, I'd rather just be home.
Yeah.
A lot of times, or, well, actually in my horse stable a lot of times, because it just because you're so emotionally empathic and so sensitive to that energy. Why wouldn't you want to feel anything but good things? So
Yeah.
that's why I choose that for myself as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're just making me go back to experiences right now where
No, it's
I'd be on
okay. Feel
trail
free to
rides.
share.
Um, I'd just be on trail rides with my horses, and, like, I mean, I would talk to them, and, and they'll, like, the way that their face would show me, like, what they're saying and feeling. I mean, yeah, they have, like, a psychology based off, like their facial expressions and what have you, and the way they're moving. So yeah, I took that in consideration, but I could feel that too. Like, I could feel the flow and the transition of their energy as I was experiencing that animal. And God, horses are just, I mean, not just horses, but I mean, look at dogs. I mean, I got to the point where I'm like, I could feel like they're just, all they want to do is love you unconditionally. Like,
I
I
know.
truly believe that animals are healers too. I really do.
Yeah.
I truly
Yeah.
believe all they do is love you and love you and love you. And oh my goodness, do I not feel worthy sometimes? Like, it's like, so I'm like, he needs healing too. So that's why
Yeah.
I also was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing Reiki, because I would do Reiki to my horses. And one of my horses, I don't know specifically what she went through, but I could tell she went through trauma.
Mhm.
Um, because the person that we got her from, she was saying that, she just went to the barn and just took her. It was one of her horses she sold to them, but she just took her because there was some kind of abuse that they did. I don't know specifically, but I could feel that in her energy. And I remember talking to my mom about it one day, and she's like, I'm like, I feel like she went through something, because I could feel her anxiety, and I'm so familiar with that feeling with the things I went through. I'm like, animals feel the same way. Like, and it just so proved my point. And then that's when my mom finally admitted that, yeah, when I bought her, the person that sold her to me said that she did take her out of some kind of a circumstance, whether she was whipped or something. Gosh, I hope not. But it's funny how, I didn't know that, but I could feel it. So I think I'm glad that example came up, because that's how I really knew. It like really confirmed it for me. Like, I'm feeling these things from these animals. So I did spend a lot of time doing Reiki to her, and it was so cute. She really relaxed into it. Like, I have a video. I don't know if I posted it on my business Instagram or not, but there's a video. I just put my hands over her head, like in between her eyes. And I just started doing Reiki to her, and she started closing her eyes and relaxing, and like she almost looked like she wanted to go to sleep. Like, her head kept nodding down, and then like kind of woke up, and I'm like, there you go. And then I realized that she was more relaxed afterwards, and I was just like, that was that moment when I said, I'm not just gonna help people, like, I'm gonna help animals too. So I'm aspiring to do that more. But yeah, not a lot of people just ask for Reiki for their animals. I wish it was more popular, but divine timing.
Actually, I spoke to this lady last December. She's an animal whisperer, so any sort of animal, any sort. So she said, Sarah, can I just try out a session with you? I said, okay, sure. I said, I have a dog. She didn't need anything. She didn't need to see my dog. She only need to know his name and his breed, if I'm not wrong. So she called into him, and she was telling me things. I'm like, how the hell do you know? and then halfway in, she called in my dad, because I said, can I see my dad? I want to speak with my dad. And so halfway she called in my dad, and this and certain things she told me about my dad, I'm like, okay, this is true. And then she said, like, because I went through not very happy relationships and all that, it ended last year as well, just before he passed. And then she said, your father said that he will bring you the man of your dreams and will walk you down the aisle. So I'm like, oh. Then and then she said to close, like, all this happening when I was closing my eyes. And then she said, like, do you want to like, when you, like, imagine yourself going somewhere and meeting your dad. So I pictured this beach side where I would want to go. And then she asked me, and before I could answer, because she asked me, like, do you want anybody else there, or just Bailey and your dad? So before I could answer no, she said, no, your father doesn't want anybody else. He just wants you to be there with him and Bailey. And yeah, that was just so sweet. Yeah.
Oh,
so
I love that.
It was, yeah. And then a rainbow came out. And when my dad passed away, I used rainbow as a sign. And there's so many times, Paige, you will not believe, like, every time. There was one day I was so down, I was beating the crap out of myself. I was so disappointed with myself. I was so upset because I did not, like, I felt this challenge that I was doing. I was beating the crap out of myself. And that evening, when I parked my car, I went to work, I parked my car, but that parking where I parked is not somewhere that I would usually park, but I just got that spot. Like, I don't even drive that way. I got that parking spot. And then when I reversed the car, when I looked up, it wasn't raining. There was no sunshine, nothing, because it was about 7 plus. So the sun is almost down. It's still bright, but no way you can see a rainbow. And I saw a beautiful rainbow there. Then I knew there was that. And I think my very first, one of the first few times last year, when I went for Mind Valley, it was in July. My dad passed away just 2 weeks before I was due to leave. So when we were there, we were doing, I decided to join one of the sessions, which was breathwork. So we did breathwork. I've never done breathwork before. So I thought I will get more in tune with my feelings rather than my head. I'm going to use my emotions. So breathwork, and I was crying and screaming, because I've not healed yet, because it's just 2 weeks before I had to leave. So I wasn't given the time to grieve. And
Mhm.
when I came out, I saw this beautiful rainbow outside. Oh, and then I was like, okay, that's him. So the amount of times I've seen rainbow after he passed, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because yeah, once you choose um like your sign that
Time.
you're predominant with, um oh man, yeah, they'll any of your spirit guides will feed into that. Because I chose
Yeah.
numbers. Like, I mean, there's different, like there's animals and stuff. Like some people, oh, I see cardinals, that's a sign for me. And it's funny how many cardinals my mom's seen because that's her sign. But me, I'm like, give me numbers. I like those numbers. The like the 333,
The-
22, like give me those numbers. And the amount of times I see numbers now, oh, and I like it because each number means something specifically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's you choose one and I mean, you tell your guides. Yeah, sure as heck they'll tell you. I mean, I'll have conversation. I just yesterday I was having a conversation with them. I was having some kind of a conflicting time making a decision, and sometimes I use music. Like I'll shuffle my playlist and I'll be like, all right, just play me a song that'll help guide me into a yes or no kind of answer for this. Like give me a feel for where it is I need to be feeling here on this specific problem or situation, and boom, I mean, I get a song that's pretty specific to where I need to go. And it just gives me an emotion or a feeling on how I need to be snowballing in that direction. So
Interesting.
yeah, there's a bunch of different ones, but mine would be numbers predominantly.
Cool. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up pretty soon, but I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna put in the spotlight a little bit. I'm gonna ask you this question, like because you talked about spirit calling in spirit and things like that at the beginning. So I'm like, will you be open to do like I don't know, like a quick, like I'm not sure how long does it take to connect with one, or yeah, I just wanted to know if you'd be open to do like a live one right now with me. Maybe I just want to connect with my dad and see if you can feel him or anything.
I can definitely try. I don't. I could try, absolutely. I can't promise
No,
anything.
it's okay.
'Cause he has to. I mean, I'll open myself to it. But as long as he's open to it, I am too.
Okay, so how would we go about this?
I mean, just you asking me to be open to it, I opened myself already. Um, and I just see I saw an image like when the minute I decided to be open to it. It can happen that way, but I sometimes I question myself with spirits just because I'm not it's not like my it's not my very strong side with the
Yeah.
spirits. But I just feel like I see. I'm kind of channeling a second. I feel an energy, like a calmness. I feel like he's very, very kind. Like, I mean, he's just like I talk about a kind person. I mean, he seems like he's like, what's a good way to describe this? Sometimes I have a hard time describing these energies. Um, yeah, he seems like a very humble, I think is the energy I'm getting. Like a very humble, like he doesn't seem like the type of person that like really ever um like not a lashing out kind of masculine energy. He's like right there at like calm and humble. Like those are the I think humble's the strongest one, but I mean he seems like one of the kindest guys, like honestly, that you'll ever meet. Um I feel like I see an image. I'm questioning myself that image is correct, but I'll just give it to you anyways. I feel like you actually resemble him a lot. Um, does he happen to have a mustache too?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, then maybe I was gonna say I see someone that looks very similar to you. The hair color and the mustache is the same color. Um, now I'm feeling as though he's very, very family oriented. So I'm feeling that energy. Of course, he's saying he loves you, but I feel like that's kind of expected. I'm feeling a proudness out of him. Very light energy with him. Like anywhere he goes, anywhere he touches, it's like it's light. He's that kind of person. Like he would uplift people. And I'm not sure that he knew it or not. I feel like now he knows he did it, but I don't know if he knew he did it when he was here. But anywhere he goes, he's definitely an uplifter of energy. I would say that sounds like light work to me. But what else do I feel here? Anything else? Is he the type of person that would like wear like jeans belt and like a shirt tucked in kind of person?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Like,
I'm feeling that too. I see it at the same time. I'm confirming that in my heart chakra.
Yeah, he needs to dress smart. Anywhere he goes, he needs to dress smart. Always tucked in his shirt. Yeah.
I was gonna say he seems like a very hard worker, but he's just so humble. Like he doesn't seem like like some people can have negative attitudes, but he just seems really positive. Like he's actually like he's delightful to channel into.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like to me. So hopefully I'm hitting the ball on or the nail on the head here.
Yes, you are. Yes.
I'm trying to feel around to see if anything else wants to pop up too. I'm just hearing the word stars for whatever reason. I don't know if that resembles anything to you. Okay, he's really pushing me to say rainbows, but we already know that, so that's why I didn't want to say it. Yeah, it's really cool too. Like as I picture a full view of your dad in the exact description that I described, like how he wears a shirt tucked in with a belt and everything like that. And then all I see behind him is just simply light, like bright white light. So, yeah, he's definitely in good hands wherever he's at. And he's, it's funny how, even though he's not here, he's still like 100% dedicated to helping his family here. Absolutely. That's like a mission for him. I can feel that. It's really cool.
My mom was really unwell, like in May this year. She was really unwell, and it was close to his 1-year anniversary, his 1-year death anniversary. And she was so unwell, and we thought that we were going to lose her. But every other day he came into my dream. Somehow or other, he came into my dream every other day. And I didn't get that hint actually. And after that, when we found out my mom had some sort of bad energy latched onto her and things like that, so we kind of like did the healing for her. And then when I told this person, said that's because your dad was communicating with you. Or because after my mom was healed, he did not come back in my dream the way he came. Like he may come once in a while, but it wasn't constant. It was constantly every other day. And he only comes in my dreams. Rarely in my mom's, rarely in my sister's or my niece. Yeah. And I believe that because I'm open to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're going to be the one that I think that he probably channels the most because of how open you are. Like, and I was talking about that earlier. It's easier for me to see, visions or, channel anything metaphysically through the gifts that I am confident with now, when people are open to, but it's easy for him too. Absolutely. It works that way as well. And I will also mention, even though I'm sure this is pretty obvious for you, but I really love how, like, I'm really feeling a lot of overwhelming, like, it's overwhelming how much love I feel. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to shake this kind of a spirit. That's for sure. And it's always going to feel like that overwhelming love. And like, he's always going to find a way to help you guys. I can tell.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a mission for him. I mean, you can feel it in his energy. So any other energy workers that you work with, if you want to ask that they can feel that too, I mean, feel free to, because yeah, I don't think I think that's like a mission for him. I really do. I mean, it's very, very strong. So I think that's just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You have a lot of protection too. So I think that's another reason for me to try to, I'm not pushing, but to encourage you to open like your third eye, your throat chakra, working on, and it's a practice. It's not overnight, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that's another reason you should, honestly.
Okay. I'll try. I'll
If you're
move
open to it, you have to be open.
Yeah, sure.
It's not a push. It's just, I think that I really think you're going to experience a lot of beautiful things when you choose, or if you do choose to do that.
So there's one thing I'm actually going to do. I want to do is on my bucket list. And it's interesting enough because my next guest for next week, he's going to talk about this. I'm so curious. I actually want to do ayahuasca because,
Really?
yeah, I want to do ayahuasca because I think I want to connect with my dad and, just be there with him and see like where he is. And like, I just want to connect with him. And that's my whole intention of wanting to do ayahuasca. Yeah. So the next, my speaker next week, he does ayahuasca retreats, psychedelics ayahuasca. So I'm excited to speak to him about the experiences people have and his own experiences. Yeah.
Well, I've got a really good feeling about that for you. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I'll have to listen then. Yeah, I'm excited for you. That's going to be a really cool experience. I've never done. This is the first time I've heard of that actually, but now I got a good feeling. Oh, I'm excited for you.
You've not heard of ayahuasca? Have you heard of you've not? I'm so sorry.
No, I haven't actually.
It's plant medicine, but you got to know where you do it. So you got to do it the right place because there are people like doing cheap stuff, and also you do it with shamans and things like that. So it originated in the Amazon. So you go into this tribal place, and then I think it's like 3 days or 7 days, depends on the retreat that you take, and then they give you some sort of plant medicine to drink, and then I guess you set your intentions before that. Like, what is your intention? So if you go on YouTube, there's many people who have experienced, like tell their experience with ayahuasca, and many of them come out like a totally different person. Some of them meet their inner demons, like literally meet their inner demons. And when they came out, they were a totally different person. I met someone from Mind Valley last year, and she said she's done ayahuasca. Then I said, how was your experience? She said, I met my dad because her dad has passed. She said, I met my dad. It's so beautiful over there and he's happy. So I'm like so inspired to do that. So yeah. Ayahuasca, it's called ayahuasca, psychedelics and all. So it's really interesting. So for some reason I was being ignorant. I'm sorry. I thought you knew. I should have asked you before mentioning.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'm happy that you told. It kind of reminds me of like I don't know why this got brought up in my head, but like, have you seen Black Panther before?
Actually, no, I've not watched.
Oh, dang it! Well, I won't spoil it for you. But they do something like that in the movie. Right. Actually.
Okay. Okay. Then I will watch. I'm not into Marvels and this kind of movie. I'm not that kind of person. It's not my genre. But yeah, so since you mentioned it, then I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, since
they use it, and it's for the same exact experience. He channels his father, and then he comes back, and he's Black Panther and stuff like that. So that's what I don't know. I just went right to that memory.
Right.
But I'm excited for you. It's especially with the psychedelics. I look forward to that for you. I hope you have a really good experience.
Thank you. But it's not going to be anytime soon, probably next year as well. So, yeah. Cool. So, my last question then, if someone wants to start working with energy and things like that, I think you were mentioning like you can drop your hand. Is there any kind of things that they can do to get started just for them to maybe release some sort of negative energy with them, or for them to recharge their own energy meridian or anything?
I would say a really good first step, I'm intuitively being told to say meditation, which is why I think I started doing group meditations, is because I feel like a lot of people need to really feel and understand their energy is like a really good first step. Yeah, I would say that, like, even if you have to do a guided meditation, but like to really put yourself in your body, out of your head, and feel your energy. And meditation is a really great way to practice that. And as you practice it, you're gonna notice different connections and feelings. And I just think that's a really great way to start personally. Because then you're aware and you're creating that awareness as well. There's a lot of snowball effects that'll happen just by starting meditation and doing it regularly, like every day. And I do that actually every day. As
Is
well.
there specific one like like guided meditation that there can be many types, like like the ones that I used previously, like more for like your mindset kind of thing. But is there like a specific term that they could type in to go and search more?
Yeah, actually, for me, I started out with like 5-minute meditations because I kind of was, when I first got into meditations, I didn't know how long I could focus. So you can start off at 5 minutes, like however you're comfortable. However, the one that I felt was most empowering for me, which is how I manifested a lot of things, including my business, would be, I just went on YouTube and I typed in a 10-minute chakra meditation. So you dive into every single chakra, and you'll clear and uplift every chakra, clear and uplift. Yeah, it might not be perfect. It might be a wobbly the first few times, as you're trying to figure it out, but then eventually you learn how to balance. You're standing, you're walking, and yeah, you're snowballing, and all good things come from that. So I'd say repetition, though. I mean, being keeping repetition with it is going to make it much stronger of a Powerball.
Okay, so 10 minutes chakra meditation. Just quick search on 10. Okay, great.
Yeah, and it's on. I do it on YouTube. I think I'm just going to share it on my page too, because it's such a powerful meditation. But yeah,
what you can do is you can share the link with me as well, so that I can put it together with the podcast once I publish it, like the links that they can find. And cool.
I'll do that. And I also want to mention, I do it first thing in the morning before I even look at my phone. Well, I look at my phone to type in the meditation, but that's the absolute first thing I do, because I believe you're in like I think it's
alpha
or alpha. Is it alpha?
I
think it's theta.
Alpha. Theta is like when you're halfway drifting off to sleep, but when you wake up, it's alpha or something like it's between that, the theta and the alpha.
I want to say I agree with you. I'm feeling like intuitively that you're right with alpha. Sometimes I forget which brain waves, but I know like the brain wave you're in when you wake up. Or even before you go to sleep. Right when you wake up or before you go to sleep are going to be really powerful times to do that because of the brain wave that you're in. It'll amplify that just a little more.
Cool. Where can one find you? I mean, I am gonna put your details as well, but any message, like where can one find you, and what do you do, if you want to share, like what kind of work you do as well, where people can find you, and how they can work with you?
Oh, absolutely. So where I can be found, right now I have, I'm building my new websites, but I currently have, and I'll still have even till then, a website where you can look at all my services, a description. It describes everything and even all the services on there very nicely. That's going to be on vagaro.com/the mind and body shop, and it's all spelled out. But Vagaro is going to be VARGO.com, and then you / the mind and body shop, all spelled out.
Okay.
So you can find me there. I also have, Facebook and Instagram social links as well, which I think I gave those to you. If not, I can.
Yes, you did.
Perfect. But yeah, I do clinical massage therapy. I do Reiki, distant or in person, sound bowl healing as well. And then I do light therapies like red light therapy. There's like blue, and there's other colors as well. I do all those therapies. And then I have a lot of different, like at least 12 other certifications just with massage therapy, like hot stones, Himalayan hot stones. I'll do Reiki with massage. So there's intuitive massages. percussion therapy. There's quite a bit, and I'm just about to learn cranial sacral therapy too. So I'm always aspiring to snowball more into my career, but that's just a little spiel for you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being here today on the Spatial Sarah podcast. I'm so grateful you hopped on to have a chat with me. Thank you for channeling my dad. And I think what you said is so true about him. So thank you. I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I am very gracious to have been on here today. Thank you again, Sarah. I feel very honored. This was my first podcast, so I wasn't sure how. I'm not much of a speaker, but I'm glad that I was able to do that because now my throat chakra feels a little more uplifted today. So I'm grateful for that and gracious of you. So yeah, again, thank you for having me on.
Thank you. That's the whole intention of my podcast, and why it's called Spatial is to hold the space for people to just share their story. And yeah, that's my whole intention. Yeah, so I'm glad that you shared yours, and I really love this conversation. Thank you.
I do too. I felt very aligned, and I hope that we were able to uplift some souls today with this conversation.
I hope so too. We will. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You have a blessed day today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this soul-enriching episode of Spatial Sarah, the podcast that brings back the beauty of meaningful conversations. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I invite you to carry the inspiration from these campfire-worthy conversations into your daily life. Embrace the power of connection, open your mind to new ideas, and continue exploring the depths of our own thoughts. Share this episode with someone you know will benefit. Follow and tag me on Instagram at @IamSarahSammy, #CampfireWorthyConvo. Until next episode, keep dreaming, keep connecting, and keep embracing the magic of meaningful conversations. Signing off, your spatial buddy, Sarah.